First of all, thank you for all of our audience to join in, taking out your time and kind of joining us in this webinar. I'll quickly explain you the format of how we would be kind of conducting this particular webinar. It would be an open discussion between all four of us, Jimmy, Ajay, Nadeem, and me. Okay, we will take all the question and answers in the end. In case you have any questions, feel free to write it in the Q&A box that you have. Please don't write it on the chat. Please note that we will only be taking questions that are written on the Q&A section. So please write your questions on the Q&A section. In case you have the question for a specific panelist, please feel free to mention the name and I'll take the question to that panelist in the end, right? And in case during your question answer session, if any of the any one of you want to kind of ask the question directly, please raise your hand from the button that says raise hand. We will give you the permission to unmute and ask the question. Okay, great. So I guess let us kick start. First of all, I would want to kind of thank all our panelists for joining in. Like individually me and I guess the whole team of Pani is thankful to all the customers and partners that you all have agreed to kind of join us today on this webinar to discuss the water process challenges in the food and beverage industry, right? Where you're using reverse osmosis and how do you solve those challenges and what is the value that digital solutions are bringing on the table, okay? Very quickly introducing our panel for all of you. We have Jimmy joining us from Coca-Cola BIG Group. Jimmy has kind of extensive experience in the digital transformation space, has been kind of supporting different markets across Middle East, Asia for Coca-Cola, and has expertise in manufacturing, logistics, sustainability, and overall digital, and has been leading IT strategy and business partnering for supply chain in Coca-Cola BIG. As our second panelist, joining us, Mr. Ajay Popat, who's the president of Iron Exchange. Ajay has extensive experience, almost of 4 decades in the water industry, has been kind of instrumental in developing and commercializing advanced sustainable solution in the water space across the industry. And he actually facilitates large groups and forums that kind of actually achieve efficiency and the excellence in the water space. Thanks a lot, Ajay, for joining us. And last but not the least, we have our third panelist joining us from Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Nadeem. Nadeem actually heads the Eastern region for Saudi Arabia for WETICO, which is actually one of the large solution providers in the region. Nadeem has 20+ years of experience in the water treatment industry, majorly in Middle East. He has been responsible for running sales, operations, and aftermarket services for WETICO in the region, and has been instrumental in kind of leading the overall digital transformation initiatives for the organization. Thanks a lot for all three of you for joining us on the panel. I'm glad to kind of host this panel side alongside you from Pani. And let's get into our discussions. And here's my first question to all 3 of you. What are the business challenges that are actually driving digital transformation and adoption of digital solutions in the food and beverage production facilities? So let me come to you, Jimmy, first. You being the end user, how do you see what is actually driving a digital transformation in your facilities?
So thanks for the question, Jatin, and hello all. From a bottling investment group perspective, managing large-scale bottling operations across 14 markets, our challenges as far as digital transformation are concerned are essentially around resilience, agility, and sustainability. So these are our core of the digital transformation agenda. And what we look forward to from the engagement is to enable transparency across the organization on the performance of all our assets, and ensure that we are working towards meeting our sustainability targets as a group.
Okay. So Ajay, just to add a perspective of a service provider to what Jimmy said, do you also see the similar kind of reasons that are driving digital adoption in food and beverage industry, or is there something more to it?
Well, there's something more to it because we are practicing managers in managing water and with more than about 6 decades of experience of doing it so in India and globally. We realize, as also the world realizes, that water crisis due to excessive use and as very often I say misuse of water is identified as one of the topmost 10 risks that most CEOs in the world perceive. So despite a rising cost of water, the rising cost to treat or discharge wastewater, suboptimal plant operations results in losing lakhs of rupees or dollars per day. And this is not restricted only to the food and beverage industry, but this is in general applicable to most industries. And scheduling downtime results in the industry's inability to meet even the production targets, because water is a vital raw material. It's no longer a utility. And if you ignore water, you will face the perils to remain competitive. At the same time, suboptimal compliances and associated fines, threats of closure can cost millions in penalties and lost production. And finally, I think the solution towards all these challenges to manage water sustainably through data-driven smart solutions.
Okay, great. Thanks for that point of view, Ajay. And going to Nadeem. Nadeem, do you believe performance, resilience, and kind of valuing water as a kind of ingredient rather than a utility, right? Is there something else that you are seeing in the market at Middle East, or do you also agree to the co-panelist here?
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Jatin. I do agree with both the panelists. And if you see, this era is of digitalization, artificial intelligence, robotics, and so on in almost all aspects of life. Exactly last month, I got a chance to attend one conference on digitalization, where the oil producing company, one of the major oil producer, Aramco, they were discussing on digitalization of their processes in refineries. Even today in Riyadh, there is a conference going on, digitalization of industries. Having said that, in food and beverage industries, especially handling water treatment plant is one of the critical tasks the operation teams have. And smooth operation is possible if they have expert technicians, proper documentation of the procedures, and full-time operator. But nowadays it is becoming challenging to have these things, and hence I see there is need for having a digital transformation. And if we will have digital transformation, for sure there will be advantages, like we will be able to capture the data and all the events, then due to which we will be able to rectify the problems in advance, and we will have a recorded history, and this history will help us to develop the lesson learned, and which can be implemented not only in the same plant but also in other plants. Thank you.
Great. So I guess as they say that data is the new oil, right? And
Yes.
And Nadeem rightly kind of took the analogy of a refinery and then brought it to food and beverage space. And I guess we all agree that data is kind of adding a lot of value to these kind of facilities, and good to learn that this is one of the major drivers. Now, in terms of if these are the drivers, what I would want to kind of understand in two folds is, before the kind of explosion of all of this compute, IoT, artificial intelligence, how have these challenges been solved historically, right? In terms of performance, in terms of resiliency, in terms of managing the operators. And then as a follow-up question, how do you see, maybe I guess you've answered a bit, but like let's dive into it in more. How do you see the digital tools playing a major role in this? Okay, so let me start again back from you, Nadeem, right? So being a kind of EPC provider, and kind of how do you see this you've been kind of solving the same challenges, right, that you talked about, Ajay and Jimmy mentioned?
Yeah.
How do you see this kind of being solved historically first?
I will continue from my first answer. If we don't have skilled operators full time, or there is malfunctioning in the plant data recorded, it is really a big challenge for engineers. For example, I receive, or my customer service department receive a call from a customer complaining that he is not meeting the plant requirement, like the flow is down. So we immediately assign an application engineer to visit the site. And once he go there, he notices that if the data is not correct, or to identify the problem for this application engineer is the logbook, which operator fills manually on hourly basis. And if this data is not correct, it becomes really challenging for the engineer to identify the root cause of the problem. Then what he does is trial and error method, and it consumes time, which increases the breakdown time. So in short, by experience, by sampling, by testing, by physical inspection, assumption, trial and error method, we solve the problem. But all this process take times. And by the time we conclude to the problem, we already encountered the losses in terms of time, manpower, and cost of shutdown.
Okay. Coming to you, Ajay, what Nadeem, I guess, mentioned, I guess I understand that you manage a lot of plants in the food and beverage and other industries as well, right? So historically, have you seen the same challenges of extra labor, data integrity, right? And kind of a lot of site visits and all of these time consuming tasks. Have you also been solving these challenges, problems in a similar fashion?
Well, I completely echo what Nadeem, and as a company operates and maintains or provided services to almost about 12,000 customers, everything what Nadeem said is something that we have experienced. And these challenges historically have been solved using this intelligence, their judgment in terms of management of process technologies, their analysis and their ability to predict, but not in real time. Nadeem said that by the time you come to any analytic conclusion, it's too late. You lost millions of gallons of water. You probably lost tremendous amounts of dollars in terms of production losses, or maybe compliance challenges. All of this for data-driven and smart decisions, which can be taken in real time.
Okay. And I guess coming to you, Jimmy, I guess as I understand that Coca-Cola is kind of the leader in adopting digital solutions, and you are kind of you're taking your first steps already, right? So from that particular perspective, have you seen any difference of how digital solutions are actually making these problems easier for you?
Sure. So Jatin, I think I first and foremost echo the problems that have been mentioned by my co-panelists. So hitherto we've been working essentially off the back of human experience, right? So experience and expertise built up over time is what has been resolving issues of recovery for us. So there has been a lot of investments made into cross-skilling, capability building within organizations to manage this. What the digital tools have enabled us to do is augment that knowledge and experience and make it easier for a newer generation of operators to convert that knowledge and data that today most of the equipment that are in use on the factory floor generate. So solutions which can capture that data, analyze trends and patterns, predict and variances, and even recommend actions. So essentially closing the loop much quicker in terms of from outage to recovery, and also being able to avoid problems. So this is where digitization across the spectrum, even within an organization. So being able to connect the water assets to a laboratory can shorten the process of recovery quite a bit, right? So there are, as multiple streams of information are connected through digital networks, we become way more efficient at both avoiding problems and even recovery.
Okay. Okay, makes sense. So, and I guess we're kind of just building upon this, Jimmy, a follow-up question. When you're doing this, right? Like there are multiple kind of questions that arise in the mind, right? Which actually leads me kind of to my next kind of questions that I would want to kind of build on, right? When you are kind of evaluating a digital tool, right, that okay, this solves this particular problem, this actually brings in data integrity, this actually gives you a lot of data to understand, what are the some criteria food and beverage producers keep in mind while evaluating a digital tool? And I guess similarly, right, when you evaluate it like through multiple service providers in the market, what do you keep in mind while doing that?
Sure, Jatin. So for us, I think from the selection of a data or a digital platform, what we essentially look at is a product more than a technology, right? So when I say product, what I essentially mean is technology which is already embedded with the knowledge of a specific area set or a problem to address, right? We today, when we look at solutions, we essentially see broad-based technologies in digital. Those technologies could come under the name of machine learning, under the name of data, digital. But what we are in a sense missing is the specific knowledge of a particular industry or a particular segment of operations, and the intelligence that particularly needs to elevate and to reach the goal quickly, right? So this is where we look at products rather than technologies to address issues. That is one level of segmentation to look at when you choose a digital technology. The other is and here I look very specifically at the Coke ecosystem. We are talking about an ecosystem of plants which span generations, right? So plants which were really old, not digitally enabled, still sticking on to paper-based processes, and plants which are more modern, which have the data mesh in place that can, that can accelerate the deployment of digital tools. So when choosing a product in the interest of standardization, what we look for is a product which spans that spectrum as well. Just for ease of adoption, being standardized through the organization, and also building in capability which can be leveraged across sites. So these are two of the basic things that we look at when we evaluate tools.
So thanks a lot, Jimmy, for kind of giving that perspective from an end user perspective. I saw Nadeem, you were raising your hand. I guess, have you seen kind of when you are kind of talking to your customers, right, of kind of solving their problems through digital? Have you seen like customers kind of evaluating you in the similar spectrum, or is there anything else that they look out for?
Yes, Jimmy is right. In addition to him, I would add the system downtime is very crucial for any customer when they call us, and that could be a point where they will decide to go for digitalization, because if they can manage to reduce the system downtime time, they can identify the problems at early stage. Then if they are identifying the problem at early stage, then the solution will be economical and it will take lesser downtime. This is what I feel. And we cannot afford to have system down for a long time, as there will be production loss, and which is very critical for any industry. Yeah.
Okay. Make sense. And I guess, Ajay, just to kind of, maybe I guess you can answer it, but I guess one aspect that I would want to kind of specifically want you to answer, as Jimmy highlighted, that the spectrum of plant, right, from the old to the new, right, ion exchange being there for so many decades, you have encountered plants that are very old technology in terms of, or old process equipments, and then you are supplying kind of new age technologies, right? How is customer readiness kind of there, or how is customer understanding that pain point, or when they are evaluating digital tools from you?
Right. So even before we come to the customer's expectations of digital intervention in terms of managing their water assets, what I would say is that his expectations, whether it's a manual plant, whether it's semi-automatic plant, automatic plant, there should be a system. Maybe it's a manual system, maybe it's through sensors, or maybe it's through SCADA. One should be able to detect and prevent failures, first and foremost. Okay. And so the real time and the past historical plant performance data on any digital device, or manually or through sensors. I mean, this is his basic fundamental requirements. Okay. Also important from his perspective is data analysis and detection of performance anomalies or deviations coming through alerts. Okay. So these are his basic requirements. Now, apart from that, there is also an expectation that there should be an ability to predict, and through prediction also optimize cost. So predictive analysis, operation and maintenance, which saves cost, proactive versus fixed schedule, which saves cost, and predict level of inventories and reorder levels proactively. So this ability to predict, apart from ability to detect, prevents failures and optimizes cost, all in real time, done through a digital platform for asset performance management, plant performance optimization, and remote monitoring and control. These are the that can be integrated in the design of the plant in order to manage the assets and what the assets produce far more efficiently. So this is our experience, building plants which are manual. Even today we build manual plants, but then there is always a dependence on human intervention. In case if the service contracts are awarded to us, it's dependent on the service technician or the operator whom we deploy at the site. Or in case the customer says that, okay, you come and do an annual maintenance contract 4 times in a year, okay, 4 visits. But then 4 visits to diagnose the issue with the plant and to give a health check, it all depends upon how well the logs have been kept, recorded, how well they've been written in a way through which interpretations become easy. So you're leaving a lot to the manual management of plants. And when you talk about sensitive technologies like membranes, okay, the data trending, the data analytics, the real-time analysis is all very important, not only to ensure plant performance, but very importantly to prevent failures.
Okay, great. So I guess thanks a lot, first of all, Ajay, for giving that perspective. So that actually, I have a follow-up on that, Ajay, if you could kind of expand. So when you were explaining the process side of expectation, right, resilience, data analytics, membrane being sensitive, and others, from a business side of this, a lot of times at Pani we get asked, right, what is the minimum criteria that my plant should have, right, so that I can adopt a digital tool? How do I understand what is the minimum criteria that I could adopt a digital technology, and how do you evaluate an ROI on that?
So I would say that there could be 3 minimum criteria. Okay, one is the digital foundation itself, which means the cost of installing a digital system, the speed. I'm talking about the data connectivity and the speed, and the reliability of internet signals. Fortunately, India is among the top 2 countries globally on many key dimensions of digital adoption. So this first criteria we can meet very easily in our country. Okay. Second is the digital reach, that how many number of mobile devices, because when you apply such digital solutions, you could possibly connected multiple stakeholders all at the same time. So the digital reach in terms of number of mobile devices, the downloads, the data consumption. So this is the second part of the minimum criteria, I would say. And finally, the digital value system, through alarms, analysis, prediction, that operators are now able to make changes to the plant operation based on intelligent SOPs. So these are the three criteria I would believe should be minimum in a system that you want to efficiently manage your water plants.
Okay, great. And I guess, Jimmy, just kind of continuing that piece, what Ajay just said, do you also agree to that? And if yes, do you see like there is another mechanism of evaluating an ROI from your perspective?
For me, I think looking at ROI, a lot of the digital technologies get kind of trapped in that mode where we seem to look at ROI right out of the gate, right? A lot of these technologies need to prove their value, products need to prove their value. For us, the approach that we adopt is more in terms of experimentation, understanding what the product can do and deliver, right? So choosing a site which is digitally capable, but at the same time is not performing to our expectation on current metrics, right? Deploying such a solution there then gives us the ability to understand if the tool can then augment the capabilities at the site and deliver on improvements in KPIs like water usage ratio and so on. So that is the approach that we take with most of our digital solutions. We go small, we learn fast, and then we take a decision to scale it up across sites quickly.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Start small, scale fast approach, I guess, has been kind of propagated across industries, and I guess we have seen that kind of that resulting into good results for a lot of our customers. So I guess Nadeem, a question that I would want to kind of ask, you were highlighting that an example, just answering the last question, that a kind of lot of number of times the operators are dependent on data on the logbook, right?
Yeah.
And if the data integrity is not right, you have already wasted a lot of time. So what I would want to kind of ask as a follow-up here is what Ajay and Jimmy just reiterated. So let's assume that the digital infrastructure at the site is not there, right? Mm-hmm. The kind of operators are dependent on pen and paper still, right?
Yeah.
Is there a kind of value there? Because digitizing the complete plant through sensors, PLCs, and SCADA is a high capex, right? Mm-hmm. Do you see that there is a smaller kind of ticket size opportunity for the plants to start their digital journey where they don't invest like thousands of dollars in the digital infrastructure, but still digitize their logbooks, because of which a lot of kind of data kind of parsing happens across the stakeholders? If you can take an example how that has happened and how you have witnessed in the industry, that would be helpful.
Yeah, actually, this will be the first step. But to make your logbook digitize, you need data. And that data is possible with your plant only. And to get this data, you should have, we need to make our plant in a way that they communicate with the software or with the tool you are using to digitize the data, to record the data. For example, you will need digital flow meters, you will need ultrasonic transmitters, all type of inline analyzers should be there, and pressure, temperature, flow meter, transmitters shall be installed in the, and main thing is all should be calibrated. Then only you will get the correct data, and all the events will be recorded properly.
Okay. Ajay, before going to my next question, just want to take your opinion on what just Nadeem said. Do you also agree that this is the first step, or before investing so much in the digital flow meters and analyzer, there is a step before that where you could kind of still digitize the process and have all the stakeholders kind of giving them a real-time view for better decision making, or at least accelerating the decision?
I fully agree with what Nadeem said, that more so I'm speaking from the Indian context, where majority of would be operated, left to the operator is critical assets. And these are very sensitive plants, the ultrafiltration RO systems. So when we began this journey together with Pani, for example, we decided intentionally to select a plant which was completely manual. And this plant was essentially on build on operate basis, where the amount of water we produce was important for us as much as it was important also for the customers. And we had a manual system of recording the KPIs, and we begin with that. The idea being that whenever you are trying to bring in a change, you will meet some sort of, we didn't want this resistance to creep in at the time when we are going to get into the digital mode of managing our assets. We didn't want to have our operators feel that, they will be replaced by machines. So we started log sheet. We improvised on that in order to get more KPIs which were relevant to our water plant. And the operator was asked to just feed in data at selected time intervals. And that became our data logger. And that was, sent across in an Excel sheet, and then it was processed, on the package that from Pani. And we had, all the analytics coming out of it as per the dashboards that we selected. And suddenly everyone found it so easy to accept, and with so much of diversity in terms of output coming, customized to one's requirement. Now, in the case, a very big opportunity to manage water assets better. Through human intervention, as I said, where you just fill in data, okay, and applying machine learning and artificial intelligence, through the software built by, for example, Pani. Going further, we would definitely be also evaluating it on plants which already have sensors, and also systems that not only have sensors but also PLC and SCADA, in order to get all the information in real-time basis, and the true concept is digital.
Okay, great. So great. So I guess we have established that kind of the journey there is no need to kind of invest thousands of dollars to at least actually start your digital journey. You can start your digital journey wherever you are. And obviously there is an upward path where you can have real-time sensors kind of giving you the capability of faster troubleshooting, reducing your site visits, and then bringing artificial intelligence, machine learning, and digital twins into the picture to kind of optimize their plans further, right? Now, if that is the case, Jimmy, that leads to my next question here. When you at Coca-Cola, let's say specifically, have adopted these tools, right? From a digital perspective, what are the challenges, top 2 challenges or top 2 benefits you have encountered while implementing these digital solutions in water treatment plants at your facilities?
Sure. To continue from what Ajay had mentioned, I think one of the core challenges that we see in the adoption of digital tools is the feeling of redundancy at sites, right? It is a process to work through. What we have along with digital transformation happening is also transformation in the roles of people, right? Moving more from being able to understand situations to interpreting data, right? Understand and then being able to trust what the machine says. So this is kind of counterintuitive because we have been depending on people, their experiences for so long. So when we have a stream of data and a AI algorithm or an ML algorithm making a recommendation in terms of actions to be taken, it is met with a lot of skepticism. Right? So it is then important to help the operator make that journey or that transition from skepticism to understanding and acceptance. It is so these are some of the challenges that we have seen from deploying digital solutions, and especially ML and AI kind of solutions in Coke.
Okay. And Nadeem, as a solution provider, have you seen a similar kind of benefits or similar challenges, or from your customers, have there been more benefits or challenges that you have encountered?
Yeah, similar to this, the first thing will be the people that they will be reluctant for any change. Secondly, we will have to upgrade your plant, automate it so that you can extract the data. And with regards to benefit, yes, there are so many benefits. First of all, you will have record of all the plant, and there will be lesser dependency on particular personnel in factory, and there will be detailed report can be prepared for the operations teams as well as for management. For management in a way that the language they can understand, like graphs, charts, so they will not spend much time. They'll just see how's the plant performing. Hence, there will be lesser breakdown time and shutdown time. And one more thing, what I see having this data digital, we can get remote technical support. Like me as a technology provider, I have clients all around the globe, and I can support them from here because I'm able to see the data, performance data, and I can support him from remotely. I remember we were running one plant in Kazakhstan, and because of this digitalization, we were able to support them from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I guess COVID has opened a lot of those aspects. Okay.
Yes.
So I think we will move to our Q&A section soon. Okay, but before that, I just wanted to kind of take last comments from you, Ajay and Jimmy, on a very specific aspect. When you say that these challenges and benefits are there, more from a process perspective in food and beverage, there are three things that I would want your opinion on. One is, do you think what is the topmost benefit? One is reliability that you guys were talking in terms of the challenge. Second is kind of in terms of the CIP, right? Kind of cycles getting reduced, chemicals getting reduced, and the prediction so that you can extend the membrane life. The third one is more on the energy consumption perspective, right? So do you think within food and beverage, what is the topmost thing for you? Reliability, predicting CIP and improving the membrane life, and the third one is water or energy savings. We'll start from Ajay and then come back to Jimmy.
So as I said earlier, that it can prevent failures, ability to predict and optimize cost, all in real time. But I think one of the most important benefits that we found was that our decision making was siloed. Okay, so there were silos that were created, and if you look at the recent Gartner survey report, it says that 65% decisions are more complex than previous years. Okay, when you used to take decisions. And in case of water management in food and beverage industry, a typical structure, for example, for managing utilities would be, there will be an operator at site. There will be a supervisor in the office to whom he sends his data, because he's super. Then there is a technical service. Data goes if there are deviations from the set KPIs. The client supervising staff who also gets the report. Now, each of these individuals or entities, they would generally work in their respective silos, leading to very disconnected decision making. Now, the advantage of this sort of digital tools is that now everyone sees the same picture together. And the decision is transparent. Okay, we talked about transparency. It is unified. Okay, and it restricts things which comes in the way of everyone having his own thoughts and ideas about the problem and the solutions, and restricting efficiencies. So this particularly is true during troubleshooting. Okay, so when you have different opinions coming based on different touch points or data points, this is a big issue. There are also issues with respect to legacies that one carries. Okay, so what Jimmy talked about, some of the old bottling plants going back to 20, 30 years with the least amount of digitalization. The same thing also applies for water systems that we supply. And when we talk from our customers, as we see it from outside, while they accept all the benefits, they are a risk-averse organization culture. And more so when you come to India and you talk of technology, because we being pioneers in technology, we spend tremendous amount of time bringing in a new technology. And at the end, the question that we often ask, apart from price, is that where have you done it before? And even if I answer that I've done it for a refinery in petrochemical, they said, have you done it in food and beverages? Or if it's a pharma company, have you done it in pharma? So we have these legacy issues, ability, and finally, I think some of the other challenges was answered partly by emission and also by that, there is a digital gap for effective transformation. Jimmy talked about it, okay? It exists in terms of, expertise in analytics, also talking about cyber security at administration level, also knowledge about cloud and enterprise architectures, which comes in the picture to run systems efficiently. And that is where I agree with what Jimmy says, that if there is an insecurity buildup for an individual through training and raising his skills to this level of managing digitalization, would definitely meet the purpose of an organization. And finally, I would say that finding the right people and the partner in services as software domain is also equally important. While you have the desire, you have the need, and you accept these changes to be brought about. If you don't have the right partner to support you with knowledge, background, and experience, your journey could be, not free from accidents and everything.
Thanks a lot for Ajay for those inputs. So Jimmy, just a last comment from you before I open to Q&A. What do you see as the top three kind of benefit in your facilities? Is it a water usage ratio in the food and beverage side? Is it kind of extending the membrane life, or is it reliability of the plant? And why is that?
Most importantly would be transparency, right? As Ajay also mentioned, facts are not what we spend our time collecting or even arguing about, right? We are more in a mode where we all look at the same data and join together in interpretation. And this is where beyond, when we start to mesh data, look, the water ecosystem is, from a Coke perspective, a subset in a plant, right? There are other actions and activities and processes which come under the factory head as well. So when we start putting all of the information together, the quality of analysis that is done, the speed with which we can react, and we can all agree on what issues are and how they need to be resolved. So for me, the digital element brings in that focus, right? It enables us to react faster and then deploy or correct problems. So from that standpoint, I think digital plays a very important role. And where we need to then focus is making sure that we have as much data as possible being fed through the system so that we can have better decision making.
Thanks a lot. I guess Jimmy, that gives a very good perspective on the transparency of the data as well as the process in itself would kind of impact the overall decision making within the facility. So I'll encourage, we'll open for Q&A. We are 15 minutes to go. I guess if anybody would want to kind of ask questions, I have a few questions on Q&A. I'll encourage you to ask questions in the Q&A section rather than on the chat section. Okay, I'll take the questions one by one and kind of answer them. So Ajay, the first question to you from Mr. Mukesh Katara. Do you see a digital tool only having the real-time data, or they can also start from manual?
Well, as I explained, we started with manual, okay, because we created, as I said, a log sheet. We improved on the log sheet, obviously, because sometimes you continue to print the log sheet that was maybe about 10 years back, and you put in some learnings in terms of parameters to be put as a part of the KPI. So we started with a log sheet, and it was diligently filled up. It was sent through an Excel format, and it was analyzed, it was interpreted, and that's how we began our journey.
Okay, so I guess the answer to you, Mukesh, is that real-time data would for sure add more value, but I guess you can still start your data by less dependence on pen and paper, and kind of digitizing that process would yield some ROI to the business itself. Okay, the next question is from Ajay Josh. He asks that how like in the plant do you deal with real-time water quality data? So I guess let me come to that question to you, Nadeem. What have you seen in the industry? Like how are you dealing with real-time water quality data within the plant?
Basically, real-time data is maintained with the help of analyzers. Like generally in RO plant, if you're talking about, you're measuring TDS, ORP, pH, temperature, pressure. So for water, we are getting from analyzers, and in addition to this, the operator will have a portable, monitor where he can measure the parameters.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. I guess Ajit, I guess that answers your question. The next question is from Hemraj Panchal to you, Ajay. What is the cost of per metric cube to digitize? Right, that really depends on, and the great question, I guess, what is the benefit, he asks, right? And in case you are operating out of the log sheet, right, and all the trends are available through the PLC, right? So do you see the kind of digital solutions saving on top of the existing operating cost? And how, if yes, how do you kind of align that to per metric cube?
If it was an ideal situation where the water quality is not fluctuating, the plant is performing optimally, and you have a very efficient and experienced operator who logs and who sends the data to someone who analyzes and who's also available in real time, the situation is perfect. I mean, you don't have to have any digital intervention. But that's not really the case, okay? Because we have fluctuations that can happen every second, every minute, every hour. And it has a direct impact on the performance of the plant. Number two, there are often situations where the operators change because somebody leaves your organization or someone falls sick and somebody else comes in over there, and you lose the entire historical perspective with which the data was being captured manually. So the advantages of digital system in terms of cost can be best quantified in terms of the benefits one would get. As I said earlier, by not having failures, or by predicting failures, or by having predictive maintenance in place. Just to give an example, that if you have a reverse osmosis plant, or if you have an ion exchange resin systems, as a part of the SOP, we would say that, please do the CIP, once the delta P goes up, or, once in a month. Now here, essentially you do it whether you require it or not, because it's specified as a part of your CIP. Okay, it's like your car, which goes for maintenance services every 3 months, whether it requires it or not. Here, you would be told whether you will do it before the due or maybe after. In most cases, it would generally be after that, and you'll save tremendous amount of downtime and chemicals, as well as things like on inventory on chemicals. Many a times you fall short of chemicals because you don't have a system to predict when to reorder chemicals. So through such AI-enabled solutions, one can the chemicals have to be reordered and when sent to the site. So there are tremendous tangible and intangible benefits. And if I now come directly to your question in terms of cost per meter cube, I can tell you that it's an absolute payback situation. Considering the fact that reliability is one of the most important thing, we heard about the necessity to have transparency so that all of us sees the same picture together. And the most important thing I'll tell is that we have to spend time in training operators, and that's also a cost. Now, when an operator gets an SOP on his screen based on the data he feeds against the problems that he's facing, he gets a checklist of corrective steps that he needs to take. When he applies them and he is successful, he has trained himself. So this is how you are also improving the skill set of your operator without an external intervention of training. Now, if you put down all these benefits that comes to you with the basic necessity of ensuring that your water assets delivers consistently, I think it's in pipe say would be the increment.
Thanks a lot, Ajay. I guess that was an elaborative and very kind of informational kind of answer there. The next question that I have is from Shiv Kumar. I guess I would want to answer that as well, but I'll come to you, Jimmy. The question is that sensor accuracy is an important issue, right, at the facilities. A lot of number of times they have invested in these analyzers or sensors, so-called, but the accuracy is an issue. They are not calibrated well, or whatever data they are giving are not right, and the labs are very efficient. So how can one solve these problems at a reasonable cost of digitization in the future?
So again, there are, as you rightly pointed out, there are issues with sensors. They need to be calibrated. But then tools which depend on AI and ML are learning tools. They learn over time to make those corrections or adjustments basis a number of different factors, not purely based on inputs from one particular source. So there is, while inline analyzers and monitoring devices give you one stream of high frequency data, there is laboratory data that can be correlated with it, right? There are actions in the realm of equipment maintenance and management that also feed into this. So it is possible for a system to make those correlations and adjustments. And that is how you can deal with errors, but this is a process of learning, not instantaneous.
Thanks a lot, Jimmy. And I just want to kind of add one perspective to this, what Jimmy, you said, that the new age AI and ML solutions like Pani, right? We do depend on the digital infrastructure like sensors and kind of analyzers, but we do also have the capability to kind of know when the sensors are off calibration. And this is a live case where we have found in a large plant, ORP sensor was off calibration, and we have given a heads up, which existing digital tools like SCADA and DCS were not able to, right? And this has saved thousands of dollars for our customers. So I guess from that perspective, both to Shiv as well as Mukesh, who had similar questions, feel free to kind of get in touch with me, and I guess we can discuss this aspect as well separately. Okay. The next question coming to you, Ajay again, right? From a perspective of digitalization on manpower, right? What will be the impact that do you see where like the more unskilled operators, right? How will they cope up with this change? Do you see a threat for them, or do you see this going hand in hand?
I think it will go hand in hand. Okay, because I do not see I do not see any threat to the manpower who are operating the plants right now. And as Jimmy said that it is not that someone feels that I'm going to be replaced by a machine, because there would be several tasks which still needs to be done by someone who's not even skilled, for example. So if you have a plant which is a manual plant, and you are just logging in data and you're interpreting the data and bringing in the necessary corrections. And if the person who's operating the plant just has the ability to read and write, that's just good enough. But then the plant is still going to be operated, for example, fill up the chemicals to reorder things. So it's only going to make the operator more independent in terms of managing the plants. Because wherever he faced a problem, let's say I'm talking of a situation where he's not truly competent in terms of solving problems. So he had to depend upon his supervisor, and the supervisor may or may not be available. The supervisor may or may not, and most probably will not get the true problem. He would not get the true data based on which he would diagnose the problem. So here it becomes very easy for him to get those SOPs, apply those SOPs himself, and most in all probability the problem will be solved. It makes him more competent. So this is also a way of building sets of operators who are not good enough. So looking at the diversity of plants that operate in India and most parts of Southeast Asia where we also operate, and in the nearby Asian countries, I do not think digitalization is a threat to employment in any case. It's only going to ensure that water assets are going to be better managed. Okay, most corporations who are to now comply with the ESG guidelines and who follow the sustainability development goals would now have a tool to quantify their actions by implementing such a solution.
Thanks a lot, Ajay. So I could see a lot of the audience is asking the same question in terms of the sensor calibration issues. Like Altaf also asked the same question on the chat. So I guess Altaf, as answered by Jimmy and supported by me in the last question, that for sure all of these sensors, depending on any OEM or manufacturer, they might have some calibration issues or errors. But I guess there are solutions available through AI and ML where kind of neural networks can kind of identify that and give you an early heads up for you to prevent downtimes or to kind of invest extra cost in terms of CIPs. In case you would want to know more, feel free to get in touch with Pani and we can kind of elaborate on that separately with you. Okay. Next question that I have from an overall perspective is from Shehbaz Sayed. He's asking, like, sensor software is provided by the OEM or third party. I guess I'll just answer that. Some sensor providers do provide their own software, very much like other equipments, but there are third party tools like Pani as well available, which are agnostic to any kind of sensor, any kind of equipment, any kind of OEM available, right? From the overall perspective. So the next question that I have is from Mukesh Katara. If the real-time data is there, does it mean that we receive data every minute, every hour, or at the dashboard? And when do we receive the alarm? For example, the same data out for continuous 10 minutes or 1 hour. Okay, I'll take the liberty to answer that as well, I guess. So Mukesh, real-time data is like, you could define it from anything from seconds to minutes, right? That is what real-time data is, really depending on network and compute cost that you are open to adopt. And all of that could be available as dashboard, as alarms immediately, right? And there are kind of models available that if you have the same alarm for continuously 10 minutes, 1 hour or something, the platforms could understand that, right? And do not bombard you with thousands of alarms every second, right? They would only give you one alarm, right? So the algorithms are there. So it's kind of from that particular perspective, you could kind of handle that, and solutions are available on those. The next question is from Hemaraj Panchal to you, Ajay. From an if they have the water quality stable and kind of at their plant, a lot of instrumentation available, labs available, all of that is available, kind of chemists available at the site, and they are monitoring the same. Would you say that monitoring by an expert is sufficient, or there is another value that these digital tools like AI could add on top of it? What is your view on that?
There are different models which are available. The example we have been talking about is a very basic plant which did not have any sensors. But as I also said during one of my answers, that you could have a system which is completely automated. It's with PLC SCADA. So essentially, you are transmitting data in real time. But then there is also what is important is basically the analytics that is to be done. So here is the difference when you go digital, that you are now digitally analyzing versus somebody who gets all this data and is now manually analyzing. So the same challenges that one faces with a manual operator, you would face with someone who's manually, analyzing the data. The person can change, the person may not be available in real time, and the solution to the problem cannot be applied also in real time. So this is just one example that I'm giving. But then, when you digitalize it across your entire management, it has the same benefits as what an operator will see while running the plant on a day-to-day basis. And I say that with nearly about 300 such automation systems that we have set up, essentially to manage utilities like cooling water treatment, boiler water treatment, where the parameters and the KPIs are almost similar in terms of ensuring that the cooling towers and the boilers, hygiene and the life is very well maintained. So we went through the similar process of, manual plants, automatic plants, and the data coming to a central place where it was again digitally analyzed. And the benefits were passed on to our customers in terms of very efficient management of utility systems, not only to reduce the water which was being lost in terms of blowdowns, but efficient use of chemicals, and very importantly, prevention, which is the primary reason why you have to have an efficient chemical system to be applied in your cooling water management.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your answer. I guess we have more questions, but I guess just because of the time, we are 6 minutes over. I'll kind of we can try and answer those questions separately. So for all of you, thanks for attending the kind of session, from the audience for taking out your time. In case you want to kind of know about future webinars or any question, comment, or feedback for Pani or any of our panelists, feel free to reach out to us at hello@panienergy.com or through our website. We will be able to kind of try our best to kind of attend to your questions or your interest, and even route to you, our panelist, kind of as you need, in case you want to kind of talk to them, any one of them. Thank you. Thanks a lot to all of you. And thanks a lot for my panelists, Ajay, Jimmy, and Nadeem, for taking out your precious time. It was a really wonderful discussion, a lot to learn. And I guess we are certain that industry is moving towards digitalization, and there are ample opportunities from resilience to performance optimization to bringing transparency in the operations, as well as saving a lot of costs from chemical, energy, and improving the membrane life or the equipment life, is certainly like a lot of kind of possibilities for food and beverage producers and service providers to kind of bring value to the industry. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for kind of sharing your thoughts. Goodbye. Have a nice day, everyone.